The poor are addicted to dopamine, the rich pursue endorphins. The difference between people's talents is not great, but the final achievement is very different. In addition to chance, luck, etc., the most fundamental is that some people walk in the pursuit of dopamine, while some people choose endorphins. This life is a process of choice, only to pay, to harvest. If you want to live a life of immediate payment and instant enjoyment, or even a life of satisfaction without paying, you are undoubtedly addicted to the dopamine trap, in the cheap entertainment activities, wasting time, and sinking into yourself. On the contrary, people who have a far-sighted vision and a big picture know how to lay out their lives from a long-term position and pursue a long-term, sustainable life path. Then, the early stage may seem hard and painful, but in the painful process of grinding themselves up, they can step by step achieve a strong and independent self. The cruelest part of reality is that the poor are immersed in the euphoria of dopamine, the rich, however, are chasing endorphins. Dopamine is a neurological substance, which can give people an immediate feeling of euphoria. But at the same time, it is like a cheap poison that keeps you in a state of pleasure. On the contrary, endorphins are difficult to obtain by overcoming your instincts. But once you have it for a long time, you will enjoy the great satisfaction of self-improvement. So what exactly are dopamine and endorphins? Dopamine and endorphins are two substances that are transformed by the brain, and the human mind is influenced by both dopamine and endorphins. Dopamine can bring short-lived pleasure, while endorphins can change negative emotions and self-perception. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter. Dopamine is also the most abundant catecholamine neurotransmitter in the brain. Dopamine is a chemical used to help cells transmit impulses, and is related to human emotions and feelings. Endorphins are morphine-like synthetic hormones secreted by the pituitary gland and the hypothalamus of vertebrates. Endorphins can bind to morphine receptors to produce a substance similar to morphine or opiates that can relieve pain and bring pleasure. Endorphins are secreted in the body after a certain stage of exercise. Also, continuous heavy exercise or deep breathing over a long period of time is a condition for endorphin secretion. The secretion of dopamine is related to the erotic sensation, which brings short-lived pleasure and can be addictive. The secretion of endorphins requires a long period of exercise or persistence, and you cannot enjoy the pleasure of endorphins for a short period of time. Why is it that the poor are addicted to dopamine and the rich pursue endorphins? It is said that in 1995, San Francisco held a meeting of 500 economic and political elites from all over the world, including Sackler, Bush, CNN, Hewlett-Packard, Sun Microsystems, etc. The main purpose of the meeting was to analyze and plan for a globalized world. At the conference, the participants agreed that the high, fast and fierce competition of globalization will marginalize 80% of the world's population, and that the conflict between this 80% marginalized population and the 20% of the population who are on the globalization express will be the main problem in the future. On this basis, the boss of Sun Microsystems, Gecki, said that it will be a world of either eat people or be eaten. Brzezinski also made a timely contribution by coining a new term, tititainment, a combination of the English words titty and entertainment. The combination of tit pacifier and entertainment means that in order to keep the 80% of the population in peace and the 20% of the population in peace, it is necessary to adopt a warm, anesthetic, low-cost, semi-satisfying method to unload the discontent of the marginalized population in order to avoid social unrest caused by conflicts of interest between classes. As productivity rises, a large part of the world's population will not have to and cannot actively participate in the production of goods and services. To comfort these outcasts, their lives should be filled with a plethora of recreational activities, such as the internet, television, and games. One of the main factors of social unrest is the conflict of interests between classes. How can we avoid conflicts between the few who benefit and the majority of the people at the bottom? One of the most effective ways is to give them a pacifier to divert their attention and discontent and make them more accepting of their reality. There are two forms of pacifiers. One is to vent sexual entertainment, such as opening up the pornography industry, encouraging violent online games, and encouraging verbal wars, the other is to satisfy sexual play, such as filming a lot of soap operas and idol dramas, reporting a lot of celebrity scandals, and broadcasting a lot of reality shows and other mass entertainment programs. In this way, by filling people's lives with intoxicating entertainment and products full of sensory stimulation, the ultimate goal is to take up a lot of people's time and make them lose their ability to think without realizing it. At this point, those who are marginalized are simply given a meal and a job, and they are too immersed in happiness to challenge the existing ruling class. Titainment, a combination of tits and entertainment, means that in order to keep the other 80% of the population at peace and the other 20% at ease, a warm, narcotic, low-cost, semi-satisfying approach must be adopted to unload the discontent of the marginalized population. Harvard Business School has conducted a survey. The more elite they are, the more their leisure entertainment, such as reading, learning, sports, while the more poor people at the bottom, the more they like to consume, such as playing games, watching soap operas. Different ways of entertainment create a world of difference in fate. The more people are obsessed with low-level dopamine entertainment, the easier it is to be self-satisfied and happy. But obviously, this low level of satisfaction and happiness will cause a sad ending. We can experience these kinds of low-level entertainment phenomena in our lives. When you read a book, you are itching to play 2 games, but you don't expect to play for more than 2 hours. When you go to work, you can't help but open your cell phone and click on various software, and you can't help but brush a few hours of short videos. Most people are obviously tired before going to bed, but they still can't control themselves to brush the short video or play the game. However, the more you brush, the more excited you get, the more you brush, the more you can't stop, even if you vaguely feel that these videos are not nutritious, and even give people an increasing anxiety and confusion of doubt and remorse, but as usual, you can't change. Obviously, this habit of being immersed in low-level dopamine is like a cheap poison that empties our bodies and gradually makes our minds and hearts numb. So, the more you indulge in this low level of pleasure, the more likely you are to end up confused, remorseful and sad. These things can erode a person's mind, devour a person's will to fight, and even erode a person's vitality and vitality little by little. In the end, everything related to personality, spiritual, mental and physical vitality is gone, and one becomes a complete loser. Those who instantly provoke people's interest, dazzling video, live, and even the more you play, the better the game, will continue to secrete dopamine, so that your brain in a state of constant excitement and satisfaction. In the unconscious, we find that time passes very quickly, but once you stop, the more you find the emptiness. Over time, once you get used to such a low and boring entertainment circle, you are destined to spend more and more of your life in poverty, more and more likely to fall into a dopamine trap. It has been proven that in this world, whoever can earn other people's time, can earn other people's money. Whoever's time is wasted, he is destined to fall into poverty. Because everyone's time and energy has a limit. If you spend your energy on improving yourself and refining your skills, then your value will naturally rise. If you spend your energy on improving yourself and refining your skills, then your value will naturally rise. If you spend all your energy on pacifier entertainment, your time on self-improvement will be heavily compressed. So in the silence, you will be completely wasted. When the desire is hijacked, the brain is constantly stimulated, will not be consciously addicted, you will ignore the passage of time and meet their own status quo. Over time, you are naturally destined to fall into the poverty dilemma. Warren Buffett in his documentary does not provide the secret of getting rich quickly, he just reads books and newspapers constantly. When ordinary people are watching TV, he is forcing himself to read boring academic information. When ordinary people are playing games, he is forcing himself to absorb the latest financial knowledge. When ordinary people are brushing short videos or playing games, he is forcing himself to learn the most advanced wealth concepts. He wakes up on time at 7 a.m. every day and spends 6 hours reading various news and financial reports. His office has no computer or smartphone, only a pile of books and a table full of newspapers. The secret of Warren Buffett's success is to eschew low-level entertainment and to maintain lifelong reading and learning. Steve Jobs' children have never used iPads, they only read books and talk about history at home on weekends. The Twitter founder did not buy a tablet for his 2 sons. The children attended various elite courses after school. The game designer avoided World of Warcraft. The game designer avoids World of Warcraft. The gambling king never enters the casino to gamble. The big brother who sells drugs does not take drugs himself. Many rich people spend their leisure time at work and do not go to enjoy relaxation. People who are obviously in good shape restrain their diet and do not eat desserts all year round. People who are highly educated have to read and study on weekends to continuously improve themselves. Why? Because rich people understand that the feeling of dopamine is too cheap, and if you indulge in low-level pleasure, even more wealth will be consumed in the comfort again and again. The process of getting endorphins is painful, but what the strong want is to conquer. You can only live a life like a fish in water by pushing yourself again and again to do what makes you suffer, to do what is boring but valuable. Aristotle said, dopamine is the animal's sense of pleasure, will only kill your time, so that your life more and more empty and boring. Endorphins are the compensation after pain, which requires a lot of effort to get, but can bring you a new life change. In the fast-paced era, almost everyone is seeking an instant pleasure, but as long as you endure a little more than others, the gap will widen with the naked eye. If people around you are choosing to indulge, but you choose to restrain, if people around you are swinging, but you choose to struggle, then day after day, you must not be on the same level. Those things that make you secrete endorphins, the process must not be too easy. In this world, there is no easy success. There is no such thing as an unearned achievement. The road of life is like this, all things that make people fall down. The feedback mechanism is particularly fast. A couple of bites of dessert can make you immensely satisfied, and a couple of games can give you the illusion of conquering the world. But this kind of pleasure must eventually bring you to sink, and ultimately, nothing. On the contrary, all the feedback mechanism for improvement is so slow that you wonder, fitness once will not make you fit, but a year can. Read a book will not bring you cognitive upgrade, but read 1,000 books can. The endorphin sweetness will not be tasted if you don't persist, grit your teeth and hold on for a while longer, and carry on for a while longer when things go wrong, and your fate will be different. The reason why there is so much difference in the fate of people with similar nature is because some people are on the road of pursuing dopamine, while others are pursuing endorphins. It's just the difference between sweet followed by bitter and bitter followed by sweet. Always remember, don't let the low level of happiness drag down your life. How to chase endorphins and change the existing dilemma. 1. Tolerate what others cannot. In such a fast-paced era, almost everyone is seeking an instant pleasure. But in fact, as long as you can endure a little more than others, the gap will widen a little. How did Yiming Zhang succeed? When he was in college, others dated and fell in love, he read books and knocked codes, others played cards and games, he read books and knocked codes. He said, in order to avoid mediocrity, you must refuse to pull you towards the pressure and temptation of mediocrity. So if you are surrounded by people are indulging, but you choose to restrain, surrounded by people are swinging, but you choose to struggle, then day after day, you can naturally stand out. 2. Tough other people cannot be tough. Those things that can make you secrete endorphins, the process is never too easy. When Haruki Murakami first started running, he woke up at 4:30 every morning, and after 30 minutes, he was so tired that he was sweating all over his back and almost suffocated from panting, but he still insisted on running. When he was creating literature, he stayed alone in his room from morning till night, and he had to rewrite the simplest first draft 8 times. In this world, how can there be any easy success? There is no such thing as an unearned achievement. The road of life is like this, you are tougher on yourself, life can be better for you. 3. Become others cannot become. This world, where those things that make people fall, the feedback mechanism are particularly fast. The first thing you need to do is to watch a 10-second video clip and laugh until you get cramps, eat a few bites of dessert and snacks and you'll feel incredibly satisfied, play 2 games and you'll be able to masturbate to a sense of conquest of the world. But this kind of pleasure will let people gradually sink, and eventually nothing. On the contrary, all the things that are progressive, the feedback mechanism is all very, very slow. Fitness once will not bring you 6 ABS, but a year can. Read a book will not bring you any cognitive changes, but read 1,000 books can. If you do not insist on everything, you will not taste the sweetness brought by endorphins. Grit your teeth and hold on a bit more. When things carry a bit more, the results of fate will be very different. The vast majority of people in the talent gap is not large, but the ultimate achievement is very different. In addition to chance, luck, etc., the most fundamental is that some people are on the road to pursue dopamine, while others choose endorphins. In the dopamine brought pleasure to sink, then the final return you will only be the pain of life. In the endorphins brought pain in the cultivation, the final return you must be the sweet life gave. Always remember, do not let those low-level happiness dragging down your life. Do not become a ripe frog in the warm water life. To be a person who is always improving, you must exercise restraint, improve, and persevere. Your life can really welcome the change of class.